Hi, I'm John and welcome back to my Lair of Action Figures, where I'll be talking and reviewing action figures from different manufacturers. Today we're going to be taking a closer look at another G.I. Joe Classified line figure. This is Mutt and Junkyard from the G.I. Joe team. As you can see, these are the deluxe boxes, number 113 in the Classified series. Of course, this figure came out in 2024. A suggested retail price in the US is $44.99. Europe will have it at $54.99. Of course, sadly in Europe we don't have much choice, so we have to use Hasbro Pulse, or we can use secondary market shops that will do it, or other people who are going to import them. But sadly, they will not be able to compete with the prices of Hasbro Pulse. Now, of course, before we dive into the figure and have a closer look at it, we're going to do a bit of history like we normally do. So, as you can see, this is my 1984 Mutt and Junkyard from the G.I. Joe Real American Hero line. This was the third line that they did. Of course, you can see there's a lot of inspiration, a lot of similarities between the dog, between the figure itself. There's a lot of copying of what they did. This figure was a very interesting figure when it came out. Of course, I did not have this version. I had the Action Force version. If I have good memory, I think the guy was from Spain. I don't know why they did it. I mean, when I'm looking at the head sculpt, he kind of reminds me of, how do we say, Austrian postcard painter. Well, maybe not well known for that, but he did a world tour from 1933 to 1945. Gives me a bit this kind of vibe. So I was a bit surprised that they would go for it in this kind of way. Of course, you have a lot of accessories. They decided to do some upgrades on this figure, so that's kind of neat because the original figure has a Mac 10 auto machine pistol and also a silencer. He has his stick, helmet, the mask, and a lead for the dog. Of course, you have, sadly on this one you do not have it, but as you can see, you have the name, primary military specialty, what is different stuff. They even say Mac 11. Afterwards, it's a bit hard to say, but it does also look like a Mac 10 figure. So let's have a closer look at what we get in this box. So the fact that this is a deluxe box, as you can see, you get a lot of stuff. You get a kind of an M16 with a scope, removable mag. We get of his baton. We get, of course, a knife. I'm going to try to put everything here. We get a pistol. We get, of course, two pairs of goggles, one to put on the helmet, and the other one who fits on the helmet, of course, and the one who can fit on him if you want to have it. Of course, I did some little change. I removed the color for Junkyard. You have one head. Well, this is not the good boy's head. Of course, you get the dog with the good boy's head. And we get also his mask, who's normally should be the muzzle for the dog, because looks like Mutt is more dangerous than his dog. Now, of course, we get 6 pair of hands, who's something is really neat, and of course, we get the figure. Now, I'm going to be starting by the figure itself. As you can see, head sculpt looks really neat. I mean, the fact that they give them some hair chest, some hair on the arms, really looks neat. The head sculpt is really looking fantastic. Paint job is also really great. They give them the same kind of face stuff. Afterwards, it's always the same thing. Would I have appreciated to have a more relaxed face as an extra accessory? Well, why not? Of course, there's a few things who are a bit weird about the figure when you see the weapons he gets, because you can see he has some shotgun shells or some buckshot shells. Don't understand why he would have it. Can understand that you will have the pouches for his rifle ones, even if they may look not really completely to proportion. You have the mag pistols, you have a spray, pepper spray, who's an interesting add to the figure. Also something that I really found interesting on this, because you can really clip out this. I find that you can remove this. I would have appreciated to get a little extra band, so if you put this back on, you would have the impression that there is it's not just pegged in like this, and you would have this little thing. It's a bit nitpicking, but it's something that I think that should have been done, that would have done a little extra to go this little extra to make this figure really look great. Now, of course, now we have talked about Mutt, let's go and have a look at Junkyard. So Junkyard, put him with his good boy head. Of course, compared to the original one, there's more details, more paint, articulation on it. I mean, Hasbro has been doing a really great job with all the animals that they've been given. They've been really upping their game compared to the ones that we got in 3 3/4 inch lines. I understand that 1984, maybe there was not a technology to be doing that, but even with the 25th anniversary line, you don't have any articulations. It's basically the same figures, and there's a possibility to do articulation on 1/18 scale or 3 3/4 inch figures very easily. I like the fact that you have an updated version where you have a tactical vest on the dog. I find that very interesting. The color itself, well, yeah, not going to go there. I don't see why would you have a collar due to the fact that you have the tactical vest. You can attach a harness. You have the harness. You attach the lead. You would do all this kind of stuff. You don't need this extra color. And I'm not convinced that a military dog would have a red, shiny color with some metal spikes on it. I think that sounds more like a gangster version of Junkyard than a military one. Now, of course, we can have a look. I hope it can zoom in pretty good. You can see that the mean dog face of Junkyard really looks neat. I mean, really, kudos to Hasbro for doing that. Now, of course, we're going to be also taking a look, now that we talked about the dog, let's go back to Mutt a bit and let's have a look at all the different hands he has. I mean, this is something that I would really love Hasbro to do a weapon pack or some accessory packs and include some extra non-gloved hands, some gloved hands that you could use to put with the other figures, because that's something that I think is truly missing in this series. Now, let's gear him up and I'm going to tell you what I think about this figure as I'm gearing him up. Of course, I think there's a few little things that are missing on this figure that were included on the other figure that came out in 1984. Of course, you can see the helmet, but let's put him on with the mask. Of course, you have to remove the helmet, the head, and then you should slide this on, and you can put this on very easily. It fits, doesn't disturb, doesn't scratch too much the face. It doesn't have a too hard fit, so you don't need to worry about scratching the paint or doing it. The figure looks pretty neat also with the mask on, so I'm just going to put the pistol in here. As I said, I find the idea of the figure really neat. Now, as I said, I'm going to be a bit nitpicky. That he has a baton makes sense. Pepper spray maybe not so much, but it can be an interesting tool. But it would have been interesting that Hasbro would have done a little something extra so that you could attach the baton to his belt. It's, like I said, it's being a bit nitpicky, because otherwise I really do like a lot the figure. Now, when we're talking about the dog, my biggest problem is we have no lead. So instead of putting me this kind of thing, I would have preferred to have a lead to go with it. I think this is something who's really missing and should have been given to this figure. Now, that's said, this is why I'm going to give this figure a bit of a 9 out of 10 or 8.5 out of 10, due to the fact there's a few little things that could have made this figure a 10 out of 10, as I said, but I'm going to give it, let's call it a 9 out of 10. Let's not go into decimal numbers. So it's going to be a 9 out of 10. Now, let's go into the aspect of the collectible item. Do I believe that this figure is going to be a high-end collectible or not? So the answer to that is yes. I think this figure has some very interesting features. Mutt is a kind of a well-known character and liked by many collectors in the G.I. Joe line. Of course, the fact that we don't have certain accessories, or normally I would say, well, hey, you know, you can get the retro line. Problem is, I don't see this figure coming out in the retro line. The problem with this one is, if he's coming out in the retro line, he's going to maybe lose his dog, maybe lose some stuff, because there's no way that you will be able to package all of this on a retro card. Let me get a retro card to show you what I mean by this. I mean, here, if you really put it, you would have this, you would have to put all his accessories. Then the dog will have to be put some kind of way. I don't know if it would really work. It seems very problematic. If he would be like this, maybe they would try to bunch out over it, but then that would make it a bit of a shame because it would be covering some of the art. So I don't think this figure, if it comes out in the retro line, would be as great. So that's why I'm going to say kind of yes, you could go for it. Currently, I haven't seen many sales going up. I heard from some US collectors that they have been starting to pop up as on special offers, and they should be going around 34, so you could get them at $10 off. I know a lot of American collectors are talking about one was waiting for it to go on special at the different shops. Due to the fact that this is a general release, of course you're going to have higher chances for a general release to go on sale. But I still believe that this figure can be not high collectible, but a collectible value. And if you can pick up a few extra at a discounted price and keep them and sell them down the lane, I think you should be able to make a few bucks when this one has his life expectancy on the shelf has disappeared. As I said, I don't see this happening in the classified retro line. We already saw the problem happen with the Snow Serpent. They really cut down on a lot of his gear and even didn't go up to put in a backpack as extra like he had when he came out. Also, I think that was 1985, if my memory serves me well. So I think this figure is going to be great. So that's going to be it for my review of Mutt and Junkyard. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please leave a like, share, subscribe to the channel. It helps it grow. If you want to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, you can go and check out the pictures I did with this guy. I did some cool pictures outside with it. They're posted on Facebook, so go and check it out. You will find all the links in the description of this video. And until then, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!